Hello friends and investorholics, welcome along to another presentation. Today we're going to look at hacking your financial fortress or creating your financial freedom. We really want to get everybody along to working on their dream to become a millionaire and be wealthy. Stick around guys, we're going to run through some very interesting little points today, simple things that anybody can implement in their life to actually make their life better. Okay, let's dive right in. So the concept of compound interest is a key financial fortress hack that builds long-term sustainable wealth. There is a simplicity and power to be found in compound interest. I just think that the average person isn't taught or just doesn't recognize. The power can be put to work with some basic planning and effort by anybody. It's not, there's no tricks to it. It's actually quite straightforward. So the main thing is investing small sums of money at regular intervals over long term, an extremely efficient way to create your own financial fortress. So this is a concept that's not actually taught in school or not spoken about at home enough. When people actually talk about money, people really just focus on negatives about money and don't actually look at positive ways to generate their own income outside of their primary way of earning income, so their job. So this is something that needs to be spoken about around the dinner table and reinforce it. We actually need to be creating income for ourselves outside our primary job. So create a simple investment plan. Having a simple savings and investment plan is a key hack to a stress-free long-term asset accumulation. Reinvesting your dividends paid by the companies that you own is also a critical hack that will significantly boost your long-term returns. So we don't go and spend our dividends on frivolous things. What we want to be doing is putting all those monies back into that company or other investments to keep generating and growing your investments, and that's part of the whole compound interest concept. So also mastering the skill and discipline, I should say, of delayed gratification, and that is also an essential hack to your wealth creation. So you need to be able to control yourself and not actually go and spend money that you should be actually putting into investments to grow over time to have a better future, retire early, or whatever you want to do. So also building your financial fortress requires taking action now. I mean, the way I look at it is every day that you delay taking responsibility for yourself really adds an extra 2 days to the end of the whole process, and the longer you delay, the greater time you're actually stuck with the mass of, effectively the working poor, so those people who rely on their job for an income. So you want to start now, and you actually want to start creating real change in your life. So a lot of people, or most people I should say, overestimate what they can actually achieve in the short term and massively underestimate what can be achieved in the long term. To help with this type of concepts, I like to think about things in pictures. For this concept, so your wealth creation concept as part of your investment plan, I think of it as a triangle. So you can visualize the steps in that triangle and sort of what you have to do to get to the next step. So number one is what most people don't really do is manage their expenses. So understand your household expenditures and all those things that actually you spend your money on. The next thing I kind of always think about is having your emergency fund. So if everything else fails, you've still got some money there to survive, and you're not actually going into debt to get yourself back up on your feet if you have a big medical bill or something like that. Also, step 3 here, this is pay off your bad debt. So that might be a little bit interchangeable with building your emergency fund, depending on how you feel about that. So you might want to actually pay off your debt first before you start to build your emergency fund. But I'm kind of a believer, if you've got a lot of bad debt, you kind of need an emergency fund, but you also need to be paying off the debt. So there might be something that you kind of do in conjunction with each other. Once you've paid off your bad debt, you need to save. And what we do after we save is we invest, because you don't just save to save. And also another thing that I always think about is trying to increase my income. So that means there's more money to invest, and you're going to get to your goals a lot faster. And then what do? We repeat. So we're always looking at our household expenses, keeping enough, but not too much funds in your emergency account, making sure you're not taking on bad debt, or if you've got bad debt again, make sure you pay it down, save, reinvest, try to increase your income again, whether that's through changing job or getting a promotion, or taking on generating income from outside your daily job. So whether you're selling something on eBay or whatever else, so trying to actually increase your income, to save more, and then to invest more. So as a basic idea of sort of the next step after you've got the first pyramid in your mind, I have a second pyramid, and this is like the key wealth creation, pretty much the tricks from the rich people, or the wealthy people I should say. So they compartmentalize how they spend their money. So this is effectively a budget. So if you don't like budgets, but I think we all kind of have to have some kind of spending control, I suppose. So this is the way I look at this. So typically we need to pretty much get our expenses under control and only be living off 70% of what we earn. So as mentioned before, we need to be creating our emergency fund. So here I've just got it as our cash fight back account. So that's just the emergency account. We also want to have our investment creation account. I've also kind of highlighted, that you actually want to sort out your debt first. So it just really depends on how you want to tackle that. But if you've got no debt, or you want to save and get rid of your bad debt at the same time, that's possible. But it's probably a better investment to actually pay your debt down first, and then also donate a lot of money to different causes and charities and things like that. So that's also a part of what we should be doing. We should always be grateful and giving back to the community. So 70% goes to living, 10% makes sure you have an emergency fund, 10% goes into your investment fund, so saving to invest, and we should always be supporting causes in our community. So we're giving back, and it's a cycle. So we give out, and other things come to you as well. So it's a circle, yin and yang type of thing. So another thing to think about, there's the old quote, time is money. We can actually look at this another way. Time creates money. So it kind of goes back to that compound interest concept again. So small things constantly done create something much larger. So that's kind of what the concept is. That making those small regular contributions into your savings account, and then actually making those investments, whether you're interested in property, shares, or peer-to-peer lending, or whatever the investment you are interested in, or a mix of everything. If you make sure the discipline's kept, and you do those regular investment steps, and that'll actually lead you to actually creating something quite substantial in the future. So the internet has helped to level the playing field when it comes to identifying investment opportunities, deciding what you want to do. So the small investor actually has access to the same or very, very similar amount of information that pretty much a bigger broking firm or whatever has access to these days. You just got to know where to go and what platforms to take a subscription out to, and all those type of things. And in the reality is, a lot of it's actually accessible for free. These other sites are just aggregators, so if you know what you want, where to find it, you can actually get a lot of that information for free. So these days it's actually quite easy to get your annual reports from any companies that you're interested in. And there's also other websites available that can actually help you put the pieces of the puzzle together, and help you evaluate the price of companies, so that you can put the information together and actually do the evaluations yourself. So it's definitely become much easier to be a individual investor. So below I've just listed the 8 hacks that I think can help you along in your journey, create your financial fortress. Number 1, which I think is one of the most important things anyway, is stop blaming someone else. Take responsibility for your own life. If you're here waiting for the government or someone else to help you out, it's never going to happen for you. You actually have to stop, create your plan, take responsibility for your own life and do it. Part of the whole responsibility thing is actually learning more about personal finance. If, the old saying is knowledge is power. So if you don't know, you don't understand the system, then you can't actually be involved in the system. So you actually need to understand the system. As mentioned before, as touched on in a couple of slides when we sort of detailed our triangles, knowing your living expenses, that's critical as well, because you need to know how much money it actually costs you to live for the year. Say it costs you $50,000, all your bills and that, and you're only earning $60,000. That doesn't leave a lot to actually save and invest. So you actually need to understand your expenses. Increase your income, I think, is one of the ones you hear a lot. These days, it's actually, a little bit easier to create that second stream of income or the side hustle, or however you want to talk about it. You can do what I'm doing here, YouTube videos. It's a hard slog, but you get there eventually, and there's lots of other different ways to earn coin on the internet. Even you can start up your own shops and online shopping, that type of stuff, sell through eBay, so there's lots of different options, affiliate marketing, those type of things. But take responsibility again and see if you can actually just start to generate an additional income that's not based on your current or your full-time employment. Big problem that I see as well is people just don't have a big enough vision for their own life. They've never actually sat down and worked out what they want for their future. They've never written it down on a piece of paper. It's just a vague idea. So you need to have a blueprint effectively. So you need to have the destination, and then you need to understand how to get to that destination. So you need to have a plan. You never jump on an aeroplane without a flight plan. So you don't want to crash. So you don't want your life to be a crash. So you need to actually have a bit of a plan. Be proactive and plan your future. So it goes back to the info I was just touching on then. If there's nothing planned, nothing written down, it's actually very hard to measure your success and readjust what you're doing and go forward as well. I think one of the other keys, or one of the main hacks too, is you have to be aggressive and build your savings, because you need to actually start investing sooner rather than later. So you need to accumulate the war chest and make sure it's big and large and start investing. Investing regularly and actually sticking to your goals. Going back to your 70-30 wealth building pyramid, you want to be saving your 10% every month or every week or whatever you're getting, whenever you're getting paid. You want to make sure that 10% is the first thing that gets transferred from your bank account into your savings account, your investing account, without fail. You want to be able to build that balance up and get that regular investing going, so that you can actually start building your wealth and start taking advantage of the power of compounding. So compounding's an interesting thing. It's very, very slow in the beginning, but once you build critical mass, it takes off, and it's it's exponential effectively. So it's at the start it doesn't kind of look like much is happening, but once you get into your 15th, your 20th year of doing this, being diligent on the compounding and investing and saving, that's when you see the real power. That's when the beauty starts to materialize, I suppose is the best way to say it. But stick to your investing goals, because that's really where you're going to get your future prosperity from, and that actually creates your flexibility in your life. To be able to go and do what you want, quit your job or whatever it might be, go on all the holidays you want to do, see the things you want to do. So start early and use the value of compounding. Thanks guys, appreciate the actually hanging around for the end of this. I think there's some really interesting points and very, very simple things. So I look at this in a different way as well, or maybe not a different way, but the little saying that always goes through my head is investing is simple, but it's not easy, and the not easy part is the fact that you actually have to be diligent, and you have to actually physically sometimes will yourself to make that, to save your 10%, to invest that, to invest the money you've saved, and it's a discipline thing. So anyway, I hope you guys got a little bit of value out of the stuff I'm talking about today. Gratefully appreciate everyone hanging around. Peace. Ciao.